Welcome. This video was recorded live on World Sake Day, October 1st, 2020. It is a replay of one of the many sake presentations and panels that were live streamed at Sake Day USA, an online sake festival and fundraiser benefiting the American Sake Association, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The purpose of our nonprofit is to develop approachable and easy to understand sake education materials, as well as to provide affordable access to sake tastings and interactive events. If this presentation was of value to you, please consider a tax-deductible donation to the American Sake Association. To donate, please scan the QR code on the screen or visit our website at americansakeassociation.org. Thank you. Enjoy the video and kanpai.
Cool. Well, I'm really excited to share.
We're so happy to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When John said, "Hey, Paul, would you like to talk about pizza and sake?" I said, "Well, yes, of course I would like to talk about pizza and sake." I love pairing sake and foods, and that's really how I got into sake and how I really got serious about it was just thinking about all the different ways that I could improve sake through food and how I could improve the food through sake. So I also really love pizza. I have devoted only the last 8 years to pizza. No, 10 years to pizza.
10
I
years?
built a pizza oven in my backyard before anybody was doing that kind of thing. And before there was any like portable pizza ovens or any of that stuff, I was building a pizza oven in my backyard, which my wife thought was crazy since we had a baby on the way, but yeah, that was my nesting. So I've been doing pizza and sake events. I did one actually just sort of in February, right before we shut down with Kodama Brewing, and we did the whole Tenko lineup and even poured their Namazake 20. Pretty exciting. So I'm going to play for you a video that I put together, but during the video, please put things in the chat because I will be live typing away during the video and happy to give you any tips or anything like that on pairings, on pizza, any of the above. So here we go. Just a little bit more about myself. I'm a sake retailer. I've got a website. I ship all over the country, all that kind of stuff. I specialize in Namazake. That's my love. So that's a little bit about me. And I will, John, can you let me share screen, please? Oh, I can. Here we go.
You can.
And I had a friend. She really introduced me to sake. The first one that really blew my mind was Watare Bune 55. Just blew my mind. And then the first Namazake I had that really got me excited was the Naruto Tai Ginjo. And it was just so exciting. It just absolutely changed my perspective on sake. And I realized at that point I really, really wanted to get into it. So I started learning, and at the same time I was very passionate about wine. And when a buddy of mine wanted to open his own restaurant, he was a sushi chef and started doing some kaiseki and wanted to open his own restaurant. He said, "Hey Paul, would you do the pairings for me?" And I said, "Absolutely." So naturally, Japanese food goes great with French wines, right? Well, no one else thought this, only me. The guests wanted Japanese sake with Japanese food. So, fine. I served them sake. I learned about sake. I got deep into sake. I did the WSET level 3. I learned a ton of stuff about sake. And so, from there, I really decided that I loved interacting with people about sake, and I didn't love being a sommelier. I didn't love being in a restaurant setting. I didn't love serving people. I really enjoyed just talking about sake. And so I created this business around getting people mind-blowing sake. I am trying to get people that want really good sake that is tailored to them. So I keep profiles on every one of my clients. I try to make sure that I understand their palate
understand what the foods they're eating, so that every time they reach for a bottle, it's something that they're excited about. And the 1 in 12 that I send them that isn't, I want them to tell me. And then I can change, and then they can adapt. It's like an algorithm, basically, so that I can make sure that I'm giving them what they want. So I have my preferences. I have the things that I like. These ones we're drinking today, these are my favorites. These are ones that I've always enjoyed. I look forward to them every year. But for some of my clients, not their thing, right? They're into more of the fruit here, and they're not into more of the savory or the funk, and that's okay. I don't send these to them. So I've kind of created this business, and then when we hit coronavirus, things just took off. And they took off in a way that I really didn't expect, because people wanted sake all the time. It didn't even occur to me that so much of the sake consumption in the U.S. is at restaurants. And with restaurants closed, those people that were used to going to their local sushi restaurant and ordering once a week for sake, they weren't getting their sake and they missed it. So I was able to fill that void by creating custom packages for them so that they could have a curated sake experience at home with takeout food or with any foods that they wanted. When I think about how to pair these three sake, Ginjo, Kimoto, Yamahai, I think about a Ginjo, the first and foremost thing I want to think about is, am I serving this thing too cold? Am I actually masking some of the depth to this by serving it freezing cold? So I want to raise the temperature. And then I really like salt and fat, because salt and fat are going to support these Ginjo flavors, and they're going to lift them up. The salt is going to give it depth and umami, and the fat is going to give it even more length. Because a lot of times Ginjo is all up front and then sort of trails down as it finishes, and that fat is going to support it and give it a length of experience. When I think about pairing Kimoto, of course cheese is an easy pairing. Kimoto and cheese are great. I also really like that Kimoto flavors with fresh meats, with things like pork, duck, lamb, beef. Those flavors tend to pair really nicely. Even just a roast chicken, something like that, that's pretty simple, that's going to pair very nicely with the Kimoto. The other thing you can think about doing is really bitter vegetables. Italian food and sake, fantastic pairings. Radicchio, kales, bitter vegetables that really destroy wines are fantastic with sake. So I encourage you to try that. And then with this Yamahai, again, temperature plays an important role. I would say anytime you try a Yamahai, I would try it at room temperature or even warmer. And then from there, try pairing it with cured meats and cured cheeses. Charcuterie, duck, aged cheeses, all those things are really going to bring out the fun flavors of the Yamahai and actually probably improve your food too. The dough, we like to do about a 7-day fermentation on the dough, so that's a sourdough starter, and then pretty high salt percentage as well. That extra salt, that extra minerality, that helps. That really helps us to slow down the fermentation, which you want for that nice long fermentation. Just like in sake, we're looking for a longer, slower fermentation. Is going to give us more flavor. I'm just really letting gravity do the work, because every time I push it or punch it, loses a lot of the air and the bubbles, and so it's got nice structure. What we're kind of looking for. I don't know if you can all see that through. How's it going, Emma?
Good.
Are you excited about pizza today?
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it real classic here. We're going to just do a pepperoni. Got some Molinari pepperonis here. Emma, do you want to model one of those? If you got more than 3 or 4 toppings, you've kind of gone overboard. I don't ascribe to that. I like to put as many toppings as I can think of on a pizza. I'm perfectly fine with that. So that's where we're gonna keep it a little bit traditional, kind of start things off here. So what I've done with these Molinari is that I've cut it relatively thick. We've got about a 1/4 inch on it. Should we try to squeeze one more piece in there?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And then there's kind of a last move. I'm going to get some flour in my hands, and I'm just going to stretch out the dough. And a couple things I'm doing there. One of them is I'm just giving it a little bit more size and giving it air underneath. And those air, that's your ball bearings. And then we're going to give it a little bit more air. And that kind of makes sure that it's in motion. Yep, pizza's in motion. So with these uni ovens, they originally just had only a single burner on the back, and you couldn't really see the back of your pizza. And so the danger was that your pizza would burn on the back before you could really have a chance to get it going. And so we coached them a little bit, and they've put in this burner here on the side, and that means we're going to need less rotations and a little bit more even cooking. We've got the convective heat here, we've got radiant heat from the flames, and then we have conductive heat from the bottom. And so it's really important that you've got a hot deck heat here, because if you don't, in that 30-40 seconds before you need to make the first turn, things could burn, or things could stick. There we go. First pizza out. So as we think about these ones that we're tasting today, most sake is pasteurized twice. Once right after fermentation, and then again right before shipment, basically after it's been aged. Sometimes sake is only pasteurized once, and those are pretty exciting. Namachozo or namazume. And with namazume, they would be pasteurized once right after brewing, and then sometimes they're held over the summer. So in a couple of days, I'm going to be receiving Hiya Aroshi, or the fall sake. And those were single pasteurized, aged over the summer, and then released when they're ready to go when it's cooler. Those are really exciting sake, but these, no pasteurization. Nama, or Namazake. And that's kind of my specialty. Very seasonal. They're brewed over the winter, fall harvest, brewed over the winter, released in the spring, and really, even if kept in perfect refrigeration, I would drink most of them within a year. So these sake are last year's harvest. They're starting to get to the point where we need to drink them, and there's still a lot of them on the market because restaurants haven't been open, which are their main markets for these things. So I'm doing my best to get these out to you so that you can drink them and pick up the slack so that we can get more of them in February and March. Okay, so this is one of my favorite sake. Every year it's a little bit different. It's made with 90% Dewa Sansan rice. So pretty exciting rice specific to the Yamagata region. It's a Junmai Ginjo, and it is full on Ginjo. So when we think about the words Junmai, of course, meaning pure rice, Ginjo, a concentrated fermentation, cold, long, using a very nice fruity ester-producing yeast. And this is, of course, a namazake, so it's unpasteurized. It's also undiluted, so it's a genshin. Really, really incredible notes here. Dewa Sansan rice comes to us from Omachi, as many rice do. And what's exciting about that is we get some of those blueberry flesh notes, as well as some steel in the flavors. And it just leaps from the glass. I mean, from this far away, I can get just tons of flavor from it. Yeah, it's fantastic. There's just tons of Crenshaw melons and some bitterness on the finish. A little bit of just astringency. And when we hit the spiciness of the pepperoni, I think those two are actually going to play pretty well together. Spice and sake are actually kind of difficult to pair. A lot of times spice will increase the presence of the alcohol and will make for a difficult pairing. But here, because this is a namazake, it's got really thick texture, and I feel like the pairing can work. Of course, we've also got all of the salt that the pizza has, and that will create some really nice boost of umami with the sake. So,
it does. It kind of has that like warm melon, almost like a full melon though. Like it kind of, because you really do get almost like the rind bitterness. I want to ask you started on it before over there, but Why exactly this sake with the pepperoni?
These sake are incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, pepperoni pizza, everybody orders pepperoni pizzas, right? You know, pepperoni pizza is just like common pizza.
Yeah.
And so I want to show that a really nice pepperoni pizza is going to actually pair well with this. Because of the salt in this pizza, because of the acid in this pizza, you're actually going to improve the sake. And that's one of the things about pairings is that a lot of times pairings are just two things that go well together. That's what wine pairings are. It's like red wine and steak. Well, you can eat them together. Doesn't mean they're good together. They're just, you can't.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Yeah. The sake wasn't overwhelmed by the spiciness of the pepperoni.
Yeah.
I didn't lose it. And then the cheese and the dough kind of coat your mouth, but again, I'm not losing any of the mouthfeel in the sake.
Yeah.
They kind of like work together to like kind of coat everything. It's really good.
This sake is bonkers. So Rumiko's been making this for 16 years now. And I really felt like last year's was the best she'd ever made. So I'm really excited to share this year's version. She put out a challenge to the local breweries and said, what if we all tried to do 90% polish sake? So only 10% of the rice has been polished away. And she said, you know what? I'm going to one-up that and make it a kimoto. So this is a living starter where the lactic acid has been naturally produced as the first step of the brewing process. Super exciting. And so to pair this, I'm going to bring a pizza that's got some funk to it. And we're going to go with some nice mozzarella. Grab some olives, Emma?
Sure.
And then we've got an Italian sausage here. I just a little ground pork, and then I added some Italian seasonings to it. On the nose, I get a little bit of peanut skin and some lactic, some notes like some aged Parmesan, some nuttiness I get from the Kimoto for sure. Like aged cheese, cave-aged cheeses, and then there's mushrooms. There's this really gorgeous like porcini mushroom.
Yeah. A lot of umami. The olives kind of cut through it a little bit, which is nice. It kind of mellows out the acidity a little bit.
Okay.
But I am starting to get more of a mushroom flavor after eating it with the sausage and the pesto.
And so that's the salt. That's the salt in the pizza, kind of bringing out those mushroom characteristics, those more savory characteristics, binding with all the crazy acids that are in the sake. You can keep these open. This Kimoto will probably be good for a week or two.
Yeah.
So I would have a glass of it every night for a week or two.
You don't want to drink it like a red wine or something.
Have this with a pizza. Have it with a burrito. Have it with a cheeseburger. Have it with fries. You want to have this with really like anything you have and see what you like, because it's going to bring out different qualities in the sake, and it's going to bring out different qualities in the foods.
I don't know. Improving is a difficult word for me because it's already so good, but it like expands it.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It gives it different.
It expands to how I'm enjoying it, how I'm perceiving it.
These other two are geeky. This Kimoto here, this is done in an ancient style of sake from hundreds of years ago. This was the style. We developed the acidity through a lactic fermentation. That's done by creating friction through a pole ramming process that kicks off this fermentation. That develops the acidity, almost double the acidity of a standard sake. And that acidity helps control the fermentation. That prevents things off from growing during that fermentation, and also gives the sake some real depth to it. Really complex acidity that give it lots of interesting phenols, lots of different flavors, aromas. Also makes it really, really easy to pair with things. When I top pizzas and think about what to do with pizzas, the first thing I think of are just dishes that I like. You know, do I like mole? Am I in the mood for seafood? Am I in the mood for steak? And then you can kind of work it into a pizza. I really see the pizza as a canvas. It's like a taco. It's like a blank canvas, and we can just put whatever we want on top, and try to work it into the different themes we have. You know, you're looking for some acid, you're looking for umami, and a little bit of spice, and then something kind of mouth coating, and that could be cheese, that could be hummus, something just to sort of carry the flavors and also give it a little bit of moisture as well. So it doesn't necessarily need to be tomato sauce, doesn't necessarily need to be cheese. Those aren't, in my opinion, elements that have to be a part of pizza. And this pizza here is going to demonstrate that. And I don't know if you guys can see that at home there, but we've got some nice bubbles on there. Those are gonna cook up kind of nicely. So here we've got a nice little mushroom duxelle. We've got some chanterelles that I picked. And then we've got some Italian blue oyster mushrooms. And then I just cooked those down with a little bit of pork stock. You could do tomatoes, or a little bit of tomato sauce in there if you wanted to, if you had like a vegan friend or something, you know, or you could use, you could just skip the stock. But I got a little pork and duck stock in there, and some shallots, and we're just that's it that we're gonna do for this. And then when it comes out, then we're gonna get a little bit more exciting. Nice. And then we're going to go on here. We've got a little salad I made with some Thai basil, some shiso, some mint, lime juice, fish sauce, and red pepper. And then just to finish this off, we've got a little toasted rice powder, just to give it a little bit of crunch. So this is a really cool sake. It's so fun. So it's a Yamahai, hot Yamahai. And what's really fun about it is that these folks are really into aging. They're really into very much understanding how heat and time play into the different flavors that you can get out of Namazake. So with this sake, we get caramelized notes, we get fresh sort of calf leather, but then we also get lots of mushroom. And underneath, hiding way underneath, there's a ginjo style sake under here that has nice fruitiness. So I feel like it has so many different things to offer. And when I try to pair this with foods, I want to look for things that are going to bring out all of those different facets of it. So with salty things, I might get more meaty, more sort of pork, charcuterie type flavors coming out of the sake. Or with more acidic things, I'm going to get different flavors that come out of it. So I could be very intentional about trying to pair this with different things. Or what I would recommend is just try this with absolutely every single thing you have, that it can really give you different dimensions depending on how you use it. Mm.
This is totally different than the other ones. I mean, it's acidic, but I almost get like almost a little bit of a sour. Nuttiness. This is all over the place.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
It's crazy.
It's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
It's kind of got some fruitiness to it.
So there's some oxidation there that gives it like a caramelized.
That's what the sourness is.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So I feel like the sour notes are gone because of the shiso, the fish sauce, the duxelle. This actually almost brings it back to the second one. definitely more mushroom flavors, a little bit more lactic, but definitely more mushroom flavors. Like the mushrooms are really. I wanted to say that it's just the mushrooms are popping out of here, but I think it's coming more from here. Thing is like the flavor profile on the pizza is also very wide.
Yeah.
You know, like we have the regular basic pepperoni pizza, and even the pesto and sausage is like not too crazy, you know. But because this was so wide and this is so wide, put them together, they, not to be cliche, but they complement each other. They're harmonious with each other. And I can't believe that the mushroom is coming so much more from the sake right now. It's wild.
Again, temperature plays an important role. I would say anytime you try a Yamahai, I would try it at room temperature or even warmer. And then from there, try pairing it with cured meats and cured cheeses. Charcuterie, duck, aged cheeses, all those things are really going to bring out the fun flavors of the Yamahai and actually probably improve your food too.
You know, the longer I go without eating the pizza, the more the original taste flavors of the sake come back.
Yeah. And now it makes you want more pizza.
It does make me want more pizza.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. That was a blast.
I now know a lot more about pizza and sake.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun.
I wish I had a pizza.
Yeah.
oven.
Well, you could have prepared for this, Chris. You knew that we were having pizza.
I do, but I don't. It's not that I could so immediately buy a pizza oven.
You live in Manhattan. You can easily.
Yeah, you can probably have that
Pizza.
delivered in an hour.
I looked at pizza delivery, and all of them said too long, and then I was like, oh man. And so I earlier made myself a mazemen and ate it in 3.5 minutes while I was in between hosting duties.
That's the way to do it.
I have written down your recipe for dough.
Yeah.
I don't have a pizza oven, but I do have a nice grill outside that I can put.
Yeah, I think the grills are a good option. Of course, you can always buy a dough at your local pizzeria if you want to as well, or or Trader Joe's or something like that.
I have done that many times.
It's not a problem. Not a problem. It's fine. Once I'm a big believer in make a dough once a week, and it'll keep for a week in the fridge, and you can just bake it off whenever you want. And then if you got a broiler, steel sheet, nice thick steel sheet in there, or cast iron, and even a inverted cast iron pan, and you can cook your pizza on top of that under the broiler, and just leave the broiler on for an hour. Get that pan really hot. And then put your pizza on top of the pan or the steel, whatever you're working with, or stone. And then
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Dewa Puma? Did you hear that? You can make pizza in your own oven in your apartment. Put that cast iron pan in there under the broiler, heat it up for an hour, slide the pizza on top, boom, pizza oven. Make it at home.